need the mainstream media, CBS, ABC, CNN, to step forward and start covering what is a major scandal. How many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are permanently disabled or possibly lost their life because our FDA hid the fact that there were safety signals screaming at them with the COVID injection. So again, you can't answer all my questions in terms of but we need to figure out who is running this deep state.
Fox News alert, Anthony Fauci's in big trouble. The little man in a lab coat got a lot wrong and never fessed up to any of it. 2 weeks to slow the spread, wear a mask, and whatever you do, don't say lab leak. Well, today, a CIA whistleblower told the Senate the deep state is still covering up where COVID came from, and Fauci helped him do it.
Intelligence community leaders and senior analysts downplayed the possibility that the COVID pandemic originated as a result of a lab incident. Dr. Fauci's role in the cover-up was intentional.
But the cover-up didn't start in 2020. It started in 2015 when Fauci had his own scientists change the rules so he could keep funding gain-of-function research, the kind that was happening in Wuhan. Fast forward 4 years, October 2019, the CDC, Johnson & Johnson, and the former number 2 at the CIA teamed up with Bill Gates' foundation and the World Economic Forum to war game a fake coronavirus pandemic, just for fun.
This was a coronavirus pandemic tabletop exercise, curiously similar to the events that played out during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it was attended by Dr. Fauci and individuals with IC ties like former DNI Avril Haines.
The very people who approved these vaccines, the very people who were supposed to be watching for the smallest little safety signals so they could warn the public, they were warned of major safety signals and they covered it up and lied to the American people. They're still lying. And if you're somebody who tragically, after March 1st when they were warned, or certainly after March 26th, and relied on their assurance that this was safe and effective and that vaccine injuries were mild and rare, and you got that shot, or your loved one got that shot and you died, or your loved one died, or you're permanently disabled, if I were somebody in that position, and by the way, I know people who are permanently disabled. I know people who died of this.
So do I.
I want to see these people criminally charged, and so I'm not giving up. I know how difficult it is. It's hard. Government protects itself. Government employees are very well protected. But I'm going to do everything I can first to expose this and shame the networks and to start covering it. I was scheduled to do a CNN interview last Wednesday, and I sent them my report, told them I want to talk about that. They canceled the interview. Now, I've mentioned this on media, and so the producer go, oh, well, no, we didn't cancel because of that. And, we just wanted to change the direction of our interview.
Sure.
Yeah, so okay, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, put me on CNN, put me on and talk about this scandal because the American people need to know this.
How much damage did this one little man do to this country?
Anthony Fauci, through his illicit activities, appeared to have resulted in millions of American casualties through 4 mechanisms. The first one was obviously through his agency funding gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab, leading to a global pandemic that killed 7 million people globally and over 1 million Americans. The third mechanism was hospital protocols, pushing remdesivir and ventilators that killed many people. And the last mechanism was pushing hard vaccine mandates, experimental mRNA injection mandates that we now have millions of adverse event reports in the vaccine adverse event reporting system, deaths, disabilities, and severe injuries. We got 4 days left. We need justice, right? We need justice. Yeah. We all want to see it, and he's the top man that we have verified evidence that he indeed committed various crimes.
Here's what their pretend pandemic looked like. See if this jogs your memory.
CAPS is a serious respiratory disease. More than half of the recognized cases have required hospital care, creating a huge strain on healthcare systems. The fatality rate is about 10%. Even so, some people only exhibit mild flu-like symptoms, not requiring treatment in a hospital. Alarmingly, those people are able to walk around and spread the virus, not realizing they are doing so. Even worse, international travelers have been arriving at their destinations symptom-free, but within a matter of hours, becoming ill.
Weird coincidence, right? 2 months later, December 2019, China reports its first COVID case. Fauci immediately goes on TV and says it did not come from a lab.
Could you address these suggestions or concerns that this virus was somehow man-made, possibly came out of a laboratory in China?
The mutations that it took to get to the point where it is now is totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human.
Now, remember when Fauci swore under oath that he never, ever, ever, ever funded gain-of-function?
The NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute.
Turns out he just changed the definition of gain-of-function and kept writing the checks.
Several of the BSEG scientists helped Dr. Fauci rewrite definitions of gain-of-function in 2015 to lift a funding pause on dangerous research.
So the very scientists that were commissioned to investigate COVID were, in some cases, the very scientists who were complicit in the origins of the gain-of-function experiments that may well have created COVID.
So the guy who may have funded the pandemic gets to run the investigation into the pandemic? You'd think the other party might want to ask some questions too, right? But Democrats couldn't find the room.
Senator Ruben Gallego, Democrat from Arizona, actually walked by us about 15 minutes ago. He saw the media cameras here, and we couldn't tell if he was joking or trolling or not, but he said, hey, what's going on here? And his staffer said, wow, I don't know, and they walked past us. So he's on that committee. He's not in the room.
Earlier this year, the CIA finally admitted it. COVID most likely came from the Wuhan lab. Only took them 5 years. But there's just one catch. The CIA says they have low confidence in their own answer. So they're pretty sure COVID came from a lab. They're just not sure. Rand Paul says the rest of the agencies are still slow-walking documents, while the same people who got it wrong are telling you to get over it. The good news? Fauci isn't out of the woods yet. AutoPen gave him a pardon, but state prosecutors can still go after him. And the feds are looking into whether to open a criminal case of their own. And they should. 1 million Americans are dead from a virus cooked up in a lab. Someone's got to answer for it.